Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you 15 books that you can buy for less than 200 rupees each on Amazon. I posted this video on book buying tips for Amazon Prime Day, but due to the fact that Amazon did not have good book offers during that Prime Day, I'm sure it might not have been that much fruitful for many people, including myself. I thought that it might be helpful for many people and they will be able to buy a lot more books, but unfortunately, it did not happen. So I'm making this video so that you can go forward and buy at least these books which don't cost a lot but have a lot in them. I've got both fiction as well as non-fiction books in these, and most of them are totally beginner friendly. So even if you're a beginner, you can go forward and buy these books and read. I'm sure they'll be worth the time and the money. So without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. The first book that I'm recommending is The Boy Who Loved by Durjoy Datta. Now this is an Indian young adult book. It is a typical young adult book in the sense that it is real good, okay? Many people say that this is a romance, but from my point of view, this book is not a romance book. It has a lot of things that are explored and experienced by the author in this one, and I just loved this the whole time, okay? I did not think that I will like this book that much because it was marketed as a romance book, and many people who talk about it over the internet also consider it to be a romance, okay? It has romance, but I can say that it's not the major focus of the book. We have this intense family drama that's going on from page 1 to the last, and it also deals with suicidal thoughts, which is a darker focus for the book. So it has a lot many things, and I'm saying that in a really good sense. So if you're a person who likes reading young adult books, please do go forward and read this. I'm sure you will enjoy it the whole time. Even if you're an adult, you will be able to relate with multiple instances that the main character in this one has, and it is just so beautiful. So just go forward and pick this. I'm sure you will not regret it at all. Next we have Narasimha by Kevin Missal. This is the first book in the Narasimha trilogy or the Mahavatar trilogy, which is the second series that Kevin Missal is writing. So the series is not yet complete. The second book is released. It is called Hiranyakashyap, but it is not as good as this first book. I wanted to recommend you guys the Kalki trilogy, which you can see behind me, which is his first series, but I'm recommending this one because I think this is his best book so far that I've read. I've not read 2 or 3 books which he has published after Hiranyakashyap, but definitely so far this is the best book by him that I've read, and it is dealing with the mythological fictional story of one of the 10 avatars of Vishnu, namely Narasimha in this series. And I should say the first book is super fast paced, and I don't think you want to continue on with the series also. It also stands alone in its own way. There are some things which are explained in the further book, but this is definitely a book which you can read as a standalone and enjoy the whole time. It is perfect for beginners, super fast paced. The language is very easy, and it is a huge book, okay? It is almost 350 pages long, but if you start reading this in the morning, I'm sure you can finish it within the evening, and you'll not be able to believe the speed in which you're reading it. And because of all these reasons, I'm recommending this one to you, and it also costs less than 200 rupees most of the time. Next we have a book which is a combination of different genres. It has thriller elements to it, it has mythology in it, it has science fiction aspects to it, and it is Keepers of the Kalachakra by Ashwin Sanghi. I think this is the first book in a series of standalones which he has written, but they can be read as companion novels if I'm not wrong. I've read this one only, but it has a lot of info dumps, so you can definitely learn a lot of things from the research that the author has done and presented in this book. It is also very fast paced and super easy to read, okay? That's definitely one of the main reasons I'm recommending all these books to you guys. They are not just friendly for beginners and cost less, but they're also very fast paced, and you'll not be able to put the books down at all. Combining the different genres together and presenting them to us in the single book, the author has done a really good job. So if you're a beginner, I'm sure you will enjoy this. Next we have The Belated Bachelor Party by Ravinder Singh. I know that Ravinder Singh is very well known for his romance novels, but this one is definitely not a romance novel. It is about a group of friends who studied together in college and stayed in the same room. 10 years after they passed out of college, they are meeting right now because none of them had a bachelor party before they got married, and they have decided to have a bachelor party together in Europe as a trip, and all the shenanigans that happen in Europe while they're having this trip. That's the entire plot of this book. I'm sure it will be relatable to multiple people. I'm not saying that every instance of this book will be relatable to everyone. There will be at least like 1 or 2 instances that you will feel connected to this book, because all of us might have had some kind of experience that these characters have with their friends in our personal lives itself. It is definitely a very fun-filled book and also a very quick read. I'd suggest you to read this during any part of the year because it will suit any mood, and it will just make you feel happy and put on a smile in your face. So if you are having a hard time, please do go forward and pick this up because it will definitely change your mood and make it a lot light. The next 2 books that I'm recommending are mystery novels, and they are the complete novels of Sherlock Holmes and the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, both by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now, of these 2, the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes is my most favorite. I'm actually reading the Sherlock Holmes series in the order that it was published. So I've read the first 2 novels from this collection, which has totally 4 novels as a bind-up, and this one has 12 short stories, which is a collection called The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I'd recommend you to try this one out first because this one is much better compared to the complete novels of Sherlock Holmes, because each and every short story is really small and runs for not more than 20 or 30 pages, and it is very well paced and super easily written by the author. It is highly suitable for beginners also. If you want to have a quick read as well as immerse yourself into it and have a really good friendship in your story, I'm sure you will enjoy the Sherlock Holmes books a lot, and they also cost really less. These editions of the books, which are from Fingerprint Publishing, cost just 120 to 125 rupees per book, but the amount of joy and the amount of knowledge that you will get out of reading these books will be so immense. You will be at the edge of your seat. You will not be able to guess what's going to happen, but you will develop theories continuously. You will not just be developing a reading habit while reading these books, but also developing your brain without your own knowledge, and it will definitely be so beneficial. So you can definitely spend 120 or 25 rupees for these books each, right? So just go forward and buy them. I'm sure you will not get disappointed at all. Next, we have one of my most surprising reads of 2021, and it is definitely one of the best books that I've read so far this year, and it is Lone Wolf by Jodi Picoult. I have a dedicated review for this one. Also, if I have dedicated reviews for any of the books in this video, I'll link all of them down in the description. You can go and check them out if you're interested. Now, this book is a literary fiction which also has some medical fiction included into it, but I can say more than anything, it is a good family drama which has 4 main characters, each of which is very, very unique, and the writing of the author is so perfect. Okay, it is just perfect for the type of story that the author has written. I'd say that the reading age for this book would be anywhere from 14 and above. It doesn't have anything strong at all, but the story itself is really engaging. The author drops certain things while she's developing the plot so that you will theorize something towards the end. Each and every character is very unique and so well written, so definitely try this one. You will definitely enjoy it. It is also huge, so you will be spending a lot more time with this book, but all the time will be very well spent. Definitely this is one of the best books that I've read so far, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone. The last fiction book in this list is definitely one of the most famous books in this world, and it is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I'm sure you've heard about The Alchemist. You might have not read it, but I'd highly recommend you to go forward and buy The Alchemist and read it, because it is definitely a very unique story. It is a spiritual book, so you have to keep one thing in mind while you're going to read The Alchemist. It is that the journey that you take while reading the book matters. The climax or the ending of the book is definitely not the thing that you're going towards, okay? It's only the things that you learn in this journey and what you get out of it in order to put into practice in your life. I got a lot out of it the second time I read it physically. First time I listened to it on audiobook, and it was definitely not a good experience, but this time while I read it physically, it was wonderful. It is definitely a book which has the power to change the way you think and see life with a positive attitude. So just go forward and buy this. If you've not read it, you have to read this, okay? You might like it or not like it, but the things that you get out of this book are really valuable in many levels. Moving on to the non-fiction books, the first non-fiction book which I want to recommend you guys is the one which is perfect for any beginner who wants to get into non-fiction books or self-help books in specific, and it is Attitude is Everything by Jeff Keller. I read this in November of 2020, and it was such a quick read, and the positivity that you will get after finishing this book will be super immense, okay? The author just has filled these 120 to 130 pages of the book with all the positivity that you can experience from doing different things over a course of 7 to 8 years as a whole. It also has 12 lessons totally, and as I said before, the book runs for 120 to 130 pages. So each and every chapter or lesson in the book just runs for 10 to 12 pages, and you can definitely sit down and finish this in like 2 or 3 hours, even if you are a slow reader, because it is very, very easy to read. And the author has also shared a lot of positive quotes throughout the book, all of which you can just write down somewhere and see every day, so that you will be subconsciously tuned to reading them and understanding and putting them into practice in your life as well. So if you have not read Attitude is Everything, please do go forward and pick it up. The least thing that it will do to you is that it will give you that initial urge of positivity that you have to get in order to do anything in life, and it will definitely provide you that. The next one is The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Now this is a book on personal finance, and it is super easy to read and perfect for beginners. I'm saying this again and again because all of these books are short, so if you're a reader who's so new, you'll be able to finish all these books very easily without putting in a lot of effort. And also the best thing about this book is that the author explains you the different ways in which you can save money and become rich using the story of a person who lived in Babylon, which is a very ancient civilization that existed thousands of years ago, and the Babylonians are also considered to be the richest people who ever lived in the planet. So it is definitely a book which has a lot of historical facts and evolutionary evidence that is provided here and there by the author. and it is also philosophical in one sense, so that you'll be able to morally understand what all the author is trying to say. While doing all these things, he also doesn't let out the practicality that is required in order to live in this original world, real world, if you ask me. And because of all these reasons, I'm sure while you end up reading this book, you'll have at least a single idea using which you can increase the amount of money in your hand in a very positive way without disturbing anyone, including yourself. So do go forward and pick it up, because it will be very beneficial for you. The next one is one of the most important books which I think many people need to read, because it deals with the fear that human beings have the most, and that fear is talking in front of a group of people. And the book that I want to recommend to you guys for this one is a very classic book, and it is The Quick and Easy Way to Effective Speaking by Dale Carnegie. You should read this book because of multiple reasons, okay? I've shared like 10 to 12 things which I learned from this one, and reasons that you can have in order to read this book. I'll link that video in the description. You can check it out if you're interested. I've also shared some of my personal experience when it comes to public speaking and how I've developed this skill in my life. It is definitely not something that you develop overnight. It takes a lot of practice and it comes to you very slowly, but once it comes, it will definitely not go. And another thing which you will develop while reading this book is that while you develop your public speaking and your ability to communicate your thoughts and ideas to the people around you, you'll automatically become even more confident than the person that you are right now. So do go forward and pick this up. It is a bit difficult to read. It will take a little bit more time to read compared to all the other books that I've included in the list, but it will definitely be very useful for you for the rest of your life. The next book that I'm recommending is another book on personal finance, and it is another classic, and it is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is definitely not a book which is suitable for beginners, but if you have read a few books which are non-fiction or personal finance related, you can definitely go forward and pick this up. But the language in this one is a bit difficult compared to all the other books in this list, and also it is a bit repetitive when it comes to the concept that the author is giving out to us. You have to consider all those things while you are going to read this book, because it will have some things which repeat again and again throughout the course of the book. But one thing which the author continuously focuses on while he repeats many things in the book is that you should have a money mindset in order to become rich. Richness in this book doesn't just deal with the amount of money or the wealth in your life, but richness as a whole to the quality of your life, how you live, how you dress, how you speak with people, what is the kind of relationship that you have with everyone, and what is the amount of energy and the kind of energy that you bring to a place while you are in that. And they are the things which make you actually rich and not just the wealth. If you have a lot of money, it just means that you're wealthy, but if you have all these qualities, it means that you're rich. It is a bit frustrating and difficult to read this book, but definitely worth all the time and effort that you'll spend reading this. The next two books in the list are particular for a publisher, and they are World's 50 Greatest Poems and World's 50 Greatest Speeches, both from Fingerprint Publishing, again just like Sherlock Holmes books. But the thing about these two books is that they don't have all the 50 greatest poems of the world. It's just a collection of 50 great poems and 50 great speeches from the world. I have not read both of these completely. I've read them in bits and pieces only. Also, these are not books you just sit down and read at a stretch. You have to read them here and there, now and then, when you need inspiration. So if you are people who want things like that, you should definitely buy these two. They don't cost that much. I think around 120 or 130 rupees again, but the richness of the language and the amount of positivity that these books have is definitely a lot. And since they also are from ancient times, they have some historical significance as well. So do go forward and buy these if you're interested. They'll definitely be worth the investment. The last book that I want to recommend today is Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. Now, this edition of the book is not under 200 rupees. It costs nearly 300 rupees in price, but the paperback version of this book costs less than 200 rupees always. You can go forward and pick it out. It is again the autobiography of Paramahansa Yogananda, who's a yogi himself, and it is a highly spiritual book, okay? So you have to go in with an open mind. You have to be open to all the things that the author's trying to communicate to you. I'm sure this is a book which has a lot of chances to change the perspectives of many people who see their lives. Definitely not recommended for beginners, but if you want to have a really ethereal experience and read a book slowly and experience it completely, you can definitely go forward and pick this up. That's the only reason I'm recommending this at last. Okay guys, those are all the 15 books, and if you did find this video useful in some way or the other, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel, because I publish new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.